This video is dedicated to all of my beautiful girlies out there who want to find a relationship and has been trying really hard, but unfortunately, you've been disappointed every single time. And I know that as much as you want to be in a relationship, you also have the tendency to always fall for the wrong guys. But at the same time, you might be in your 30s right now, and the biological clock is ticking, and you feel this instant pressure that you need to get cuffed as soon as possible. So you can eventually have kids and children and a beautiful family, and who doesn't want that? But there are far more cons than pros when we enter into a relationship with someone who isn't good for us, who is a walking red flag on all fronts. Hi, my name is Jasmine, and on this channel, we talk all about becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you absolutely love. And in this video, we're going to be talking about 17 red flags women tend to overlook when they want to fall in love. Very quick disclaimer here, you know your situation better than I do, so please take all of my advice with a grain of salt. Every single situation is different, so if your relationship has one of these red flags, it doesn't mean that your relationship is doomed. It just means that if you are seeing and capturing maybe 4, 5, 6 of these red flags, it's time to really start jotting down your thoughts and really journaling out whether this relationship is something that you see working out long term. I've also included chapters for this video, so you can skip around. You can also find the timestamps in the description below. And if you are somebody who's ready to do the real work, I'm not just talking about watching these videos, but actually transforming. I provide worksheets for every single one of my videos. In these worksheets, I provide in-depth journaling prompts as well as practical exercises to help you start removing your limiting beliefs and to write out an action plan so you can start living out as your highest self today. You can access these worksheets down in the description below. Now let's dive into the video. The very first red flag is someone that I like to call the collector. Now, what the heck is a collector? A collector is when they have a bunch of close friends, but these close friends are people that they had some sort of history with. Maybe he liked them or they liked him, but either way, there is still some sort of history. So why do these collectors keep people around? It's because they want someone to stroke their egos and they also want to keep their options open. So if this relationship doesn't work out, they still have other relationships or other people that they can fall back on. I think it's totally okay, if not fantastic, if your partner is friends with the opposite sex. But what truly is concerning is that if all of their close friends are people that they've had some sort of history with, you will wonder, why are you guys still friends if you guys aren't dating, if things didn't work out? Is your partner obsessed with them or are they obsessed with your partner? It will essentially make you feel very uneasy and probably really anxious in your relationship with him. The second red flag is self-awareness without work. We now live in a world where self-development is something that's just really common. We all want to be the best version of ourselves, but we also make the mistake of throwing the word, I'm just working on myself. We throw that around so easily, but are we actually doing the work to get ourselves out of our old patterns? While it is one thing to be aware of your shortcomings, it is a whole other ballgame when it comes to working on dismantling that pattern. If your partner is someone who is aware of his shortcomings but has no true intention of solving it, he isn't truly being vulnerable and honest with you. And sure, it is really admirable for a man to really step out and share his shortcomings, share his faults, and being able to address it. If they keep acknowledging this fault, but they keep blaming it on external factors, like, I just had a really bad childhood, my parents were not loving to me, and they're constantly putting that sense of ownership on someone else, they are not truly taking ownership of their own life, which makes it so much harder for someone to change. Another factor here is if you are in a relationship with somebody who is clearly not taking responsibility of their own mental health and they rely on you to do that, this relationship is bound to fail. Someone who is a keeper is, despite his mental challenges, despite his depression, he is going to therapy, he's journaling, he's reading books about it. He was proactively taking steps to move out of that space so he can be the best partner for you. And he does not depend on you for his happiness, but instead he takes full ownership and responsibility for it. So someone who is self-aware but won't work on his shortcomings, he's essentially saying, This is me, take it or leave it, but I'm not gonna lift a finger to change anything for you. The third red flag is lack of intellect or original thinking. These are the types of men that are people pleasers or people who often get swayed easily by other people's opinions. Because I find that people who lack original thinking typically don't have an identity to stand on, which means that they're gonna have trouble putting their foot down when they need to. So I want you to imagine that you have a family. You want a masculine partner because you want a provider and you want a protector. This really means having the balls to say no, the balls to set boundaries, the balls to call people out when they need to. A high value man will always be true to themselves. So that means that if they disappoint a few people here and there, they don't care because this is who they are and they stand by it. The next red flag is someone who constantly talks about his past loves, whether these are positive insights or negative insights. Because first of all, you would even consider, why are you even talking about them in the first place? Why are these details important and relevant in our relationship? Now, this isn't to undermine that we shouldn't be talking about our prior relationships and our prior history. I feel like it's important for us to talk about our past so our partners can understand where things went wrong last time, where their insecurities are at, where are some sensitivities. I think there's a lot of beautiful things that can come out in a conversation like this. But if your partner is constantly bringing up their exes, it's kind of a telling sign that they're still thinking about them. Now, there are two sides to this. If your ex is angry and frustrated and still very triggered by his ex, he's still carrying over a lot of leftover resentment and he is still not taking full ownership of the situation, which means that he is someone who is still in victim mode and feels powerless in his life. But even too many positive stories, that isn't good either because it makes you feel like you're always compared to his past. It may actually make you feel that he still admires her a lot and secretly wishes things worked out. And it is so normal to feel and wonder whether you are truly at the forefront of his life or did he just settle with you? Knowing your partner's history is important, but constantly mentioning the past can actually block you guys from building something fresh together. Number 5 is chronic emotional unavailability. When conflict comes up, how does he react? Does he immediately shut down? Does he avoid the conversation at all costs? Does he move on and pretend like nothing happened? Emotional unavailability feels like there's this invisible wall between you and him. And it's that whatever you do, whether it's through deep conversations or whenever you guys cuddle, you always feel this invisible wall between you and your partner is constantly keeping you at arm's length. There's also this push and pull effect where they either want to be really close to you or they want to be really far from you. They want to be intimate but not too close, and it makes you doubt where you truly stand with him. For all of my anxious attached girlies out there, I truly believe that your partner, finding a secure partner especially, can really change your attachment style. And sometimes you may feel like you were born this crazy, you were born this obsessive. But when you have a secure partner who loves you unconditionally, who is openly communicating with you, who wants to be deeply intimate with you, who wants to be close to you, when you have that kind of partner, you feel safer and you end up feeling less freaked out. Your nervous system isn't going crazy. So your anxious feelings aren't just about you, it's about the kind of partner you end up choosing. So really pay attention to how he reacts to your needs, or whenever you guys go through conflict, how he reacts. Does he listen? Not just hear what you have to say, but does he truly dissect, listen, and understand your needs? Does he give you reassurance? Does he take action and change because he cares about you? Or is he the kind of person that's distant every time you guys have some sort of conflict? Does he push it away? Does he sweep it under the rug? Or does he end up staying distant? And wanting closeness with them, it makes you feel even crazier. If you are with somebody who is struggling with emotional unavailability, you almost feel like you're responsible for that. There's something wrong with you for him treating you this way, but it has everything to do with him, his upbringing, his family traumas, his version of love. Not all men are emotionally unavailable and not all men are trash. I know, you're surprised, right? The difference when you meet someone who is emotionally available is like night and day. Love ends up becoming more effortless. You guys want to be with each other. You guys actually thrive on being close and loving and nurturing with each other. And that's just the kind of love that every girl dreams of. So stop putting yourself in this kind of situation where this guy clearly does not have the emotional capacity to be there for you. Choose partners who meet you and will actually fight for you in the relationship. not the types of people who make you feel like you're doing it all alone. Number 6 is someone who thinks they know it all. This is the kind of guy who lacks humility, and you are going to have a very hard time dealing with them. Because oftentimes know-it-alls are stubborn. When they get into conflict, they think they're always right. A man who thinks they know everything is someone who is not open-minded and someone who is not open to new perspectives. And the beautiful thing about humility is that it keeps people curious and teachable. And when you are in a partnership with someone who is teachable, when you bring up conflict, when you want them to change, they are more likely to do it. But being with a know-it-all, I'm sure we've all met that one person who thinks they know everything, who dominates every single conversation, who always has to be right. These people are so exhausting to be around. And just imagine what a relationship would be like with them, because you are going to be constantly wrong every single time. And when conflict comes up and he refuses to put his ego aside, you are constantly going to need to compromise in this relationship. Relationships need two people who are willing to adjust and change and learn. And if he thinks he's always right, there is no real room to problem solve. So the more you compromise on your own feelings, the more you're gonna lose yourself in this relationship. Number 7, if he has cheated before, he will cheat again, because that temptation is always available to him because he's done it before. Even if he says he's a changed man, you will always wonder whether he will do it again. Cheating once shows that he's willing to do it again. Maybe not in the near future, but what if you guys are 10 years into your relationship and he's starting to get bored? What happens then? And you will always feel really anxious and insecure in the relationship because in the back of your head, you're constantly wondering, okay, when is he going to cheat on me? So just don't get yourself in this situation entirely, because you deserve peace in your relationship. And even if you are the other woman and this man is saying that he's gonna leave his wife to be with you, he might even do the very same thing when he is in a relationship with you. Because when he's in a relationship with you, he's gonna feel tempted to cheat on you with somebody else. And it's so funny because a lot of women tend to fight each other in this scenario. They tend to go against each other in scenarios like this. But the person that you should really be having this conversation with, the person that you should really be dropping, is the guy. Men who cheat are often womanizers. They're really good at making you feel a certain way, making you feel important, making you feel seen, and convincing you that you're the one while they're still with somebody else. Do not waste your energy blaming on the other woman, because your energy is so important, and to be in a relationship like this is essentially going against your own self-respect. No matter how good he looks on paper, no matter how great the chemistry is, a proven cheater is someone you should always stay away from. Number 8 is someone who lacks purpose and drive. This is the type of guy that lives life on cruise mode rather than living and designing a life of his dreams. And building an amazing life requires determination. It requires self-control. A man without drive is someone who doesn't have this sense of grounded masculine energy. And you can really tell when someone is passionate about something or whether they're just chill. They're just cruising through life and they don't really care. Ambition doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be a CEO at a company or to build some sort of multi-billion-dollar business, but ambition can simply just be being really passionate about something and pursuing resilience to get to a point, to get to a goal, essentially. Typically, men who lack purpose and drive are simply men that are not provider material, and he'll end up putting a lot of responsibility on you, and it's going to be a really difficult relationship to be in. A lack of purpose also reflects on how much effort he puts into this relationship. Because purpose could also be being the best possible partner for you. When a guy does not have goals, you end up having to be the provider, you end up being the one who is more in their masculine, and you're gonna have to be the one that deals with all the details. I always return back to this, but just imagine if you want a family with your partner, is this person gonna be able to provide for your family? Are they passionate about building a better life for himself so he can share that world with you? And typically guys that are stuck in victim mode, they are the types of people that are just waiting for life to happen rather than being active creators in designing a really beautiful reality for themselves. The 9th red flag is he could shower you with gifts, with love, he could be doing all the right things essentially, but he still won't commit to you. Ladies, I would recommend a 3-month threshold. If this guy does not want to commit to you or at least have conversations about building a relationship with you, do not continue the relationship no matter how much he sweet talks. Do not ever put yourself through a long situationship with no end in sight. And that means that even if this guy is doing all the right things, he may be buying you flowers, showering you with gifts, taking you out to dinner, he could be literally the perfect boyfriend without the label. But if he dodges every single conversation about commitment, that's your answer. He is not fully choosing you. It still shows that he's unsure of you, and this could be his way of keeping you on standby. And typically, men who are in situationships, they just don't want to be alone. A man that truly wants you will make his intentions clear. You will not have to guess. You will just know. Being in a situationship for more than 3 months is simply a waste of time and energy. And why not just let each other go so you guys can find your person, set each other free so that you guys can both find fulfilling romantic relationships. Even if this guy has a million green flags, but he does not want to commit to you, this big red flag that's waving in your face, you gotta take it. You gotta see it. You gotta look at it. No one wants to be the leftover option. Nobody wants to feel like they're a second option to someone that they love. If you do decide to put yourself through this, if you do decide to wait on this person, you are essentially communicating to your subconscious mind that you are okay with being a second option. You're okay with this guy wanting someone else, but while being with you. Respect yourself enough to fully walk away from someone who does not fully choose you. Number 10 is someone who has a bad relationship with money and is simply really bad at money management. This type of person spends recklessly. He has a mountain of debt, not student loans kind of mountain debt, but like I'm talking about a mountain, like Everest. He may also be afraid of facing the music. He knows he has debt, but he's not doing anything to really learn more about his situation and proactively getting himself out of it. I know debt by itself is already very shameful, right? It's not to say that you don't deserve love if you're in debt, but to really be in a relationship with someone who has debt, you also need to understand that when you're in a romantic relationship, when you're married to them, that debt also becomes yours. His financial mess becomes your financial mess. So if they have a mountain of credit card debt, if they are really bad with their finances, if they're constantly making bad choices with their money, that also affects you and your long-term happiness. Because you obviously want someone who is a provider, you obviously want someone who can take care of you. But if you are constantly mothering him, telling him how to spend his money, being a cop in your own home, you are going to feel crazy. So choose someone who shares the same money mindset as you before you spend the rest of your life together. Number 11 is he has no friends and no support system outside of you. He becomes very dependent on you for his emotional happiness. Men like this often feel this need to jump from relationship to relationship because they do not want to be alone. They're afraid of their loneliness, and they feel that the only way to get their emotional needs met is through relationships. So it can make you wonder, does this guy genuinely like me for me, or is he only choosing this relationship because he's lonely? If your man doesn't have any friends, he's gonna be very reliant on you to make him happy. And because he has no other fulfilling relationship outside of this romantic relationship, he is going to be especially needy. He is going to be so emotionally reliant on you, and it's going to be hard for you to live your own life, to have your own dreams. Relationships are the strongest when it involves 3 lives: your own life, his own life, and your life together as a couple. In order to stay balanced in this, he needs to have his own circle, his own life as well. Harvard actually did a study on happiness, and TLDR, the happiest people are the types of people that have the most high-quality friendships and relationships. When 2 happy and fulfilled people come together to form a relationship, they're less likely to cling or spiral whenever there's some sort of rough patch or conflict. You also deserve to have a partner who encourages you to go see your friends and to live your life outside of the relationship. Number 12, he judges other people rather than working to be the best version of himself. There are some men out there who really like to judge other people. They like to judge people's relationship choices. They like to judge how people treat their partners and vice versa. This is the kind of person who spends a lot of their energy judging other people rather than using that same energy to work on bettering himself. When this person puts all of their attention on criticizing other people for their relationship choices or talking smack about people's partnerships and relationships that literally have nothing to do with him, it shows that he's insecure. A high value man is someone who stays focused on becoming the best version of himself rather than using that energy to tear other people down. Number 13 is you are constantly apologizing, even when you're not wrong. If this guy thinks he's constantly right and you're the one who's always wrong, you're gonna have to compromise your needs and you'll end up losing yourself in the process. And over time, you might actually be afraid of telling him the truth and you're gonna end up lying a lot because you don't want him to react poorly. And real issues will never be solved and you will constantly feel the need to compromise your own needs just to make him happy. And while it is important to be able to talk about this in a healthy manner, you also need to stand up for yourself. Number 14 is criticism that feels personal, not constructive. Now, I want you to closely pay attention to how he gives feedback because you could either guilt trip or try to be manipulative and try to make the other person feel really bad for what they've done, or you could say it in a very positive, in a more digestible way. Criticisms that start with you are selfish, you are mean, you are a terrible person. These are all attacks, but they're not actually conducive. It's not creating a healthy communicative dynamic. But constructive partners are the types of people that start their statements with, I feel neglected because you haven't been spending a lot of time with me. I feel this because that. They use the words I feel to be able to structure their message so it becomes more digestible for the other person. If his words are designed to guilt trip you, make you feel even worse than before, that's not love, baby, that's control. So just notice how your first fight with each other or your first disagreement is gonna go down. Number 15, he has a bad relationship with his family. No family is perfect, not including mine, but family patterns shape how we love our partners, our future children, how we love our friends. If your partner grew up in a very chaotic, abusive household, then they're going to build this perception that love is chaotic, that love isn't safe, or love is conditional. So he will end up creating the same dynamic in his relationship with you. If you were to compare two men, the first man is someone who has a healthy relationship with his parents, who has a very loving and nurturing family, versus another guy who has had a mother who went through multiple divorces. There was always chaos in the house. His mom was constantly either yelling at him or being overbearing or being overly sweet. These two people are going to have a very different style of love. The healthy person will feel that intimacy is safe, but the other person may feel that intimacy is scary, it's unpredictable, and almost foreign. I'm not saying to write off every single person who's had a bad childhood, who grew up in a bad part of town, who had not so great parents that didn't care about them. I am not saying that. But what I am telling you now here is that there's going to be an extra step and level of work that they need to commit to, that they're going to have to work even harder to remove their limiting beliefs about love so that they can achieve greater intimacy with you. So if they are truly working on themselves, just be patient with them because they're building a whole new reality for themselves and it starts with the mind. This is just my own opinion, and I have found that when someone does have a healthy lens of love, it is actually a lot easier to get intimate with them. It is a lot easier to feel closer to them. And I have found that when I am in relationships with people who don't have a very healthy family dynamic, that they tend to be a bit more avoidant. They tend to really close off whenever they hit conflict. And there's almost this wall, this invisible wall between me and them. But again, things can change. People can evolve when they really put in their heart, because ultimately we all deserve unconditional love. We all deserve to be in happy relationships. Number 16 is he doesn't see you fully for you, but instead he's always focused on what you can do for him. Some guys would actually get with certain girls just because they feel that this woman can improve their image. They're always fixated on what this woman can do for him. He may say that he wants wife and kids, but what his real intention is that he just wants to check off boxes rather than actually wanting to be a great husband and father. You may even feel like a trophy wife, that your only value in this relationship is just the way you look or the skills that you have, what you can do. So if you ever feel like you're in this relationship where you're not being truly appreciated for your personality, for your perspectives, for your values, your way of life, if you are not truly appreciated for who you are internally and externally, then this is also a major red flag. You are so much more than what you look because you deserve someone who truly sees you for who you are. And number 17, the very last red flag is you do not feel like yourself in this relationship. Now, this may not necessarily be something that he has done explicitly, but it could just be your own gut feeling telling you that this relationship just does not feel right. And that's okay, because we are not meant to be the perfect fit for everybody. People evolve, people change, people grow into different directions, and that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. You probably used to be someone who was creative, full of life. You always spoke your mind. But ever since being in this relationship, you have felt further and further and further away from who you truly are. You might even feel that it's not safe to be your true vulnerable self, or even being your weird, quirky self. How you know you're in a good relationship is when you could be your inner child. You can literally be a kid around them. Even if this guy checks all of your boxes, he's the perfect height, the perfect face, the perfect career, but you feel that it's not safe to be yourself, your nervous system knows how you feel before your mind does. Sometimes the vibes are just not there, and misalignment becomes louder and louder as time goes on. There's almost this part of you that is holding yourself back, that you can't be too romantic, you can't be too loud, you can't be too much for this guy because you're afraid of how he'll react. If you're in a relationship like this is also a red flag. And we've reached the end of this video. Thank you so much for tuning in all the way to the end. I want to tell you that even if you are approaching your 30s where you feel like your biological clock is ticking, please do not rush the process of finding your life partner, because this is one of the most important decisions that you'll ever make in your life. This is your travel companion. This is the person you're gonna have 20,000 meals with. This is gonna be your retirement home bingo buddy. And it is okay to be patient and wait for the right guy to come around. Do not feel like you need to settle. I would love for you to comment down below what is one red flag that a lot of people tend to overlook. And if you are serious about the transformation, and if you want to apply everything that I've taught in this video, then you can feel free to sign up for my worksheets down in the description below. And if you are on the journey of becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you love, check out my channel, because I make a ton of videos about love, romantic relationships, self-worth, money, career, literally all things high value woman energy. If you like this video, I highly recommend checking out my last video, 10 harsh truths I wish my father taught me about dating and men. In that video, I share some unpopular opinions about the things that really made or break my relationships, and how, as women, we also need to play a role in how our dating life is going. Thank you so much for being here. I love and appreciate you, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!